Welcome to Hekman Research 101, where you can start learning about the practices of a wise scholar along with your Hekman Research librarians. Today we're going to look at 3 specific techniques that you can use to make database searching more refined and efficient. Before we dive in, keep in mind that this is all based on what's called search logic, or the rules of information organization. Databases have their own kind of search logic, which might be a little different from how you think about and organize information. Let's say that I'm investigating whether students' sleep habits can affect their academic performance in classes. If I can learn to think like a database when I create a search, I'll be able to find more relevant sources more quickly. The first technique we're talking about today, for example, is all about the unique way that databases combine search terms using Boolean operators. Boolean operators are the words and, or, and not, used in all caps to combine terms in a search. Understanding how they work can help you narrow, broaden, or focus your search. The operator and combines search terms so that each search result must contain all of the terms. Here we use sleep and academic. Or combines search terms so that each search result contains at least one of the terms. This helps you cover your bases, so you can find sources that use different words to describe your topic, like adolescent or teenager. Not excludes terms, so that each search result does not contain any of the terms that follow it. So if we want to avoid some particular concept, we could try something like this: sleep, not nap. Here's an example of how you can use this technique in the Ebsco database. Here, the operators are actually built into the drop-down menus between search boxes, so I can separate each keyword into its own box, like this. Or I can type everything, including the operators, into one box, like this. Notice that I add parentheses this way. This tells the database how to combine and search for your terms, just like the order of operations rule from basic algebra. Now you can see we've got some pretty specific results already, and I can narrow down even more as I experiment. Compare this to what happens if I simply type my keywords in one long string. Often databases will interpret that as having an and in between each word, which might not necessarily be what you want. Another simple search technique to narrow and focus your results is called phrase searching, where we use double quotation marks around keywords to search them as an exact phrase. This is useful because in many databases, if you don't put the quotation marks around a search phrase, you may get results back that have those keywords, but not necessarily next to each other. Here's an example of how you could do that in Ebsco. If you type deep sleep with quotation marks, your results will now target those words as a phrase, like this. Lastly, truncation is a search technique that involves shortening a word into what's called a stem and putting a special character, often an asterisk, at the end. This tells the database to give you results that include variations of that word, which can be helpful in many ways. For example, when you want to search for both the singular and plural versions of a word, or other alternative endings, like this example, by truncating, I can find psychology, psychologist, psychologists, psychological, etc., instead of having to search each one individually. Wildcards are another similar technique to search for variations of a word, but those use special characters like a question mark to replace letters within the word instead of at the end. For instance, I might want to search for color and color with the U added to cover British and English spellings, or I might want to look for both woman and women or other irregular plurals. Here's how you can use truncation in Ebsco to find variations on teenager. Ebsco uses asterisks for this technique, so I'll enter it like this. And as you can see, I've got results that include teen, teenager, teenaged, and more. So with these 3 techniques, you can start to use search logic to hack your database search. Now, you don't always have to use these search techniques, but they can be helpful if you discover that your initial search results turn out to be too broad, too narrow, or not as relevant as you'd like. Try any of them alone or combine them. See what works for you. And remember that it can take some time and persistence to figure out the best combination of search terms and techniques. If you're feeling stuck, don't give up. Contact a librarian for suggestions. You can chat with a librarian or schedule a research appointment today by visiting the Hekman Library website, library.calvin.edu. Also, check out our YouTube channel anytime to see our tech tip videos and learn more research basics with Hekman Research 101.